Good evening, everybody. How are y'all doing? Excellent, excellent. It's such a pleasure to be here with each and every one of you on behalf of James Scott, who's sitting right in front of me, and myself, co-founders of the Institute for Critical Infrastructure Technology. It's an honor and privilege to welcome you to our 2017 Gala and Benefit. ICIT does a lot of programs over the course of the year across the country, but tonight's different. Tonight's special. First of all, we're in the beautiful St. Regis. What a lovely venue. Great food, great drinks, which is always a treat for all of us. I'm surprised how many times I've heard tonight they've never been here. So they have a great bar, too. You guys should be checking out later. We're, of course, here for a number of reasons. We're here to honor some of our industry's brightest and most impactful leaders within the cybersecurity and national security space. We're here to, of course, build and strengthen the trusted relationships that are paramount to our ability as a community to work together and thwart the attacks and improve our resiliency as a nation to those nefarious actors that are looking to exploit the vulnerabilities in our critical infrastructure sectors. But for James and I, it's also a very important night because it's the one time a year where we actually get to come here and share with you a little bit about our vision for the Institute and where we see us going. Because ICIT, as many of you know, is a relatively new organization. We've only been around a couple years. And in those few years, we've evolved so much, and this year in particular has been a very exciting year for us, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Obviously, as the name implies, at the core of ICIT is a focus on critical infrastructure cybersecurity, right? We will always have, at our core, be an organization that provides objective, nonpartisan research and advising on vulnerabilities that exist within our nation's critical infrastructure sectors: public, government, defense, healthcare, finance, energy, manufacturing, communications, the list goes on. And of course, providing the objective recommendations with respect to how organizations can defend themselves and leverage the technologies that we're introducing through our papers and through the publications. But something happened this year that has set us on yet another course and has allowed us to take the next step in the Institute's growth and the Institute's evolution. Something became apparent to James over the course of the year, and he educated me, and it became very clear that we had another calling with respect to what the Institute should be focused on. Many of you probably have seen the news that about a month ago we announced the creation of the Center for Cyber Influence Operations Studies, or CCIOS. Now, CCIOS is an organization that will study the digitization of influence operations, essentially how nation states and special interest groups are or could use social media, memetics, bots, machine learning, metadata, to ultimately artificially inflate the ideological divides that exist within our country. We're hearing this played out in the news and on Capitol Hill right now, right? Last few weeks we've had some hearings on this. And this is very important and frankly quite frightening, because ultimately what we're talking about here is defending our ability, each of you and everyone you know, our ability to actually create our own ideas and know that our beliefs and our values come from where they should. They've come from our families and our friends and our communities and how we choose to worship and our own independent investigation of truth, not because some special interest group or some nefarious actor decided that this is what they want us to be thinking and have used these tools and techniques to manipulate us and to inject ideas in our mind that ultimately become our thoughts. And so we're really fighting to protect this. And this is our newest endeavor. It's something that gives James and I so much confidence in the future of the Institute. It gives us, and I don't mean to speak for James, but I can say this pretty confidently, that it gives us such a great sense of professional purpose, one that we already felt so strongly about, but it's taken it to that next level. And it really just reminds us how fortunate we are to do what we do and how humbled we are to be in this position to serve our communities and to serve the nation and to serve society. And I don't say this because I want you guys to think, oh, wow, James and Parham have a really good life. That's not the purpose of this comment. The purpose of this is for you to understand just how passionate we are and how important we take this. And I want you guys to know that each and every one of you are a part of this process and part of this journey with us. You know, I say this, if you heard me talk of these types of things, I always talk about spheres of influence. Terry Graffenstein talked at an event we did in New York on Monday, about pervasive leadership. Tonight we'll be honoring some of our greats who have the ear of people as high up as the President of the United States. But you don't have to be a Tom Donilon or a Rob Joyce or a Bill Evanina to make a difference and be part of this movement, right? If you're a member of the public sector, engage with ICIT. Accept our invitations to come to our events and talk to our communities. Share our research within your organizations and within your spheres of influence. Reach out to industry and tell them, hey, look, I know you guys are spending a lot of money. You need to be supporting ICIT. They're doing important work for us. If you're a member of industry, you guys are spending millions of dollars a year as organizations in marketing exercises to get your brand out there. Well, ICIT is a vehicle for you to do that. And not only will we, I can guarantee you'll have a tremendous experience working with the ICIT team on some of these efforts, but you'll be part of something bigger, something at a national level. And those funds will be used not only to provide you with the value you're looking for, but will enable ICIT to do what it does and put out the research and advising and publications and events that we need to ultimately support our mission. If you're a member of critical infrastructure community, you have a role in this process. Where's John Brickey? There he is. So John was from Army Cyber Institute. He's recently gone over to be the senior vice president at MasterCard. Because of John's leadership, he essentially has secured MasterCard as the first significant donor to ICIT that is not a cybersecurity community. Right now, virtually every dollar that we get comes from cybersecurity vendors. This is significant for us because not only is having MasterCard involved and John as a fellow good for the brand and good for ICIT, but has now set a precedent. So I expect fully next year to be here and be telling you about all the hospitals and energy companies and communications organizations and other financial institutions that have also supported and joined on to ICIT. So thank you, John, for that. And if you guys don't fall into any of those categories, if you're a stay-at-home dad or mom, or you feel that you're in a community or in a career path that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with cyber, I will challenge you to think otherwise. There's a couple of things that you can do. First of all, you can be aware, be more cyber aware, practice good cyber hygiene, and instill those best practices in your kids and all the kids that are part of your community that you grew up in. Talk about ICIT. I'm sure that somebody you know in your life falls in one of those buckets that I just described. Tell them about ICIT. But also, perhaps more importantly, and probably most difficultly, something I've started to do recently since we've been talking about the concepts behind the work that CCIOS will be doing, is think. Think about why you have the beliefs that you do. When you see something pop up in your social media feed with this photo of a certain lady or a certain guy, and it gets you all riled up, think about why that is. And think about, is my belief system today, did that come from me? Did it come from my parents or my own research and my own ideas? Or have I been steered in this direction? And maybe you don't want to share that negative post, or maybe you don't want to like it. Because ultimately, it does come down to us as individuals to be part of this solution. So I'm excited to kick off this evening's program with just some thoughts about the Institute. The great news is that we have a tremendous support base here today with us that has allowed us to do what we do. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge some of those organizations. First of all, if there's any current or retired members of the military or law enforcement, can you please stand? First and foremost, we'd like to, yeah, there you go. Late to the party. What's going on over there? All right, sit down. We got it. You missed your shot. First and foremost, we want to thank you for your service to our country. We are grateful for you and all of your colleagues and peers who have served before you, with you, and will come after you. Next, I want to thank the ICIT Fellow Program members. On the page 7, I believe, of your brochure, where the sponsors are listed in the bottom right corner, you'll see a list of our fellow program members. The fellows are the lifeblood of the Institute. These individuals commit annually to financial resources, as well as thought leadership and other expertise to support ICIT in a number of ways and allow us to do what we do. You've seen many of the fellows. Many of the fellows are here this evening. In particular, we want to recognize our cabinet-level fellow members, Silence, Micro Focus Government Solutions, and Centrify, These are organizations that underwrite in excess of $150,000 per year to the Institute. It's a significant financial contribution that they've chosen to make in us and in ICIT. So for that, we're extremely grateful, as well as for all of our other fellow program members for their support. We thank you. For this evening's gala, we have a few people we need to thank. We, of course, need to thank our lead partner, Micro Focus Government Solutions. We'll be hearing from Rob momentarily. We'd like to thank our diamond underwriter, Parsons. They're the reason why we're enjoying this lovely meal this evening, our dinner host, so thank you, Parsons. I want to thank our platinum underwriter, Centrify, the reason why we had all those fantastic drinks beforehand, so thank you, Centrify. Our gold underwriters, Forescout, MasterCard, and Sky High, and our silver underwriters, DLT, Akamai, and Lunarline. Please help me in thanking these important sponsors.